Hello everyone. There aren't very many videos on YouTube about caring for dwarf puffers. I've always wanted these fish and I did a lot of research before I bought them, and it was actually pretty hard for me to find good videos on YouTube about caring for pea puffers. So what I'd like to do is go through what I've done so that maybe it will help you. So to start, what I have is a 15-gallon Fluval Flex tank. It was a kit, cost me about $150, and I absolutely love it. I love everything about this tank. It's gorgeous, and all of the filtration is in the back, which makes it so that you can't see all that mess, and that's the best part about it. It also comes with this remote where you can control all the different colors. It has like different modes you can cycle through. You can change the brightness of the white. You can change the brightness of the colors. I don't use that very much because I'm growing plants and I don't really think that colored lights are necessary. So anyway, so what I did was first thing I did was I went to my local stream and I collected these rocks. They were covered in algae, but I was pretty confident that I could use them because there were lots of fish living in the stream where I collected these rocks. So I brought them home, I put them in a sink with hot water, I scrubbed all of the algae off that I could, and then I soaked them in a bleach and hot water solution for a couple of hours. Then I took them out of the water, rinsed them off, and let them dry completely to make sure that all of the bleach had been dissolved. I've had these rocks in this tank for over a month and I haven't had any problems, so I'm confident that they are safe for the fish. Second thing I did was I got on Amazon and I purchased all of the plants that you see in this tank. I've actually trimmed the plants once already and put them in some of my other tanks. But I got on Amazon, I purchased all the plants, and I planted the tank. The substrate I'm using is Fluval Stratum, which I had heard on YouTube from all of the fish videos that I watched that is one of the best substrates that you can get. So I've been enjoying it. I'm not very experienced in plants, so I'm not really sure how long-term this will be working for me. And I've noticed them break down there, if you can see where it has kind of broken down a little bit. I think that's because the day that the pea puffers became available, I had other creatures in this tank because I was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for pea puffers. So I had to hurry up and rescape the tank. I had to get all of the snails I was keeping as pets out. I had to get my cherry shrimp out and make sure that the tank was ready for the puffers because I didn't want them to be eating my cherry shrimp or my favorite snails. So anyway, the tank has been sitting here. I let it cycle for almost a month before even thinking about getting fish. Other thing I have is these Marimo moss balls, which are actually not moss, they're a type of algae. And what I have found is that the pea puffers adore these things. They pay more attention to these moss balls than my shrimp or my snails or anything that I have moss balls in the tank. In fact, I'm pretty sure that that little guy right there has created a territory for himself at these moss balls. This is kind of like his home. This is where he lives. And he just adores these things. And it's fun. I have them right here in the front of my tank so I can always have an eye on a pea puffer. This is a 15-gallon setup. So I have one puffer per 3 gallons of water, and I have lots of hiding places. That's the only way I've been able to get away with having that many puffers in the tank. There are lots of places for them to hide and create territories and run away if they need to run away, and there's also plenty to break up the line of sight, so they won't attack each other. I haven't seen any aggression. I've seen a little bit of chasing if somebody gets a little too close to the other person's home. The puffers are much more apt to eat snails than they are to eat these bloodworms. As you can see, I put a couple in here and they've been sitting. I actually need to remove them. But they take little tiny bites. I think that's because these puffers are still babies. They're not fully grown, so they're not quite developed enough to eat a full worm, I think. But they did take out all of the pond snails I had. When I bought these plants, they came with a lot of pond snails, and they were babies. And about 10 minutes after putting the puffers in the tank, all 6 or 7 pond snails that were floating around in here and crawling on stuff were all eaten within about 10 minutes. These puffers like warmer water. They can tolerate a wide range of temperatures, but my tank right now is at 77 to 78 degrees. And when I do a water change, I try to put room temperature water in the tank. I don't necessarily match the temperature, but I don't put cold water in the tank because I don't want to shock them. And they're just little fun guys. They just swim around, and sometimes they come up to the tank. I haven't had them for very long, so they're not quite used to me yet, but sometimes they come up to the walls of the tank and look at me and investigate and see what I'm doing. But they are very fun to have. They're very fun to watch. And I really recommend putting them in a planted tank for sure. They like lots of places to explore, lots of places to hide. I feed them every other day. They haven't been taking very well to the bloodworms, so I hope that I can get them to eat the bloodworms because I ran out of snails. But there are a couple of snails left. There's one up there hiding. But that's not really enough for all 5 of the puffers. So anyway, that is my video on how to set up a tank and care for pea puffers. And I will do an update video. I'm excited because I just planted this dwarf hairgrass in here, and I hope that I did it well enough that it will carpet the whole front of the tank. I think that will look really pretty. So anyway, that's my video on dwarf pea puffers, and I hope that you like this video. Thanks.